chilling this evening. And as I am big chilling, per usual, I am contemplating and processing as I tend to do. And I'm just here. I'm just a goofy girl here. What? I'm just a goofy girl here, ready to have a good time. Bro, it's like a whole party in here. It's like a whole party. And then this one. I love it. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So I wear glasses, and the glasses that I wear, the bridges obviously sit here on my nose, and so I have like 2 or 3 little pimples that have popped up here. And I was like, no, because on the bridge of the nose is one of the worst places to have pimples. I mean, there are other worst places, obviously. But I saw that earlier today, and I actually rubbed my nose and it hurt, and I was like, why? Why would you do this to me? I'm drinking water. I always want to turn up my brightness on my phone so that I can see in case anything goes awry while I'm recording. You already know what time it is, so grab yourself some water. Let's take some sips before we get yapping. I came in here like super irritated because I was talking to my sister about something, and I was trying to explain myself. I was trying to explain like what my thought process was with something, and then I was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna focus on this until tomorrow. And she hit me with, well, yeah, I was about to say you're spiraling. 2 minutes and 23 seconds as I say that. 23 is one of my lucky numbers. And it bothered me so much. And I think it bothered me because I still have an issue with the idea of... Before we continue, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling good. I hope it has been an amazing past 12 hours, whatever section of time that is, whether it's in the middle of the day, whether it's at night, whether it's in the morning, whenever it was. I hope that you are feeling good and feeling nice, and I hope that this video brings you peace. Yeah, I hope that you're here to have a good time as I'm here to have a good time. But anywho, so I got super irritated. And the reason is because I'm one of those people to where historically, I'm very hard on myself when it comes to mistakes that I make, especially when it comes to like social mistakes or dealing with other people, which is a majority of the mistakes that one can make, honestly. And something that really bothers me is when I know that I'm starting to do something and somebody then lets me know that I'm doing that thing, and it bothers the shit out of me. And I think the primary reason, as I am processing right now in real time, is because there is not much in this life that I have control over, but my own person is something that I always have felt I should have control over. So if I'm doing something, I always prefer to be the person who catches it, because I am typically my harshest critic. And so I can deal with it in me. So like, I used to be the type of person, and I still kind of am this person, to where if I'm having problems, I would prefer not to discuss those with other people, depending upon the person. If it's a person who's really close to me, I'm cool with it. We could talk about it, I'll ask for advice. But for the most part, I cannot fucking stand it when people tell me like, oh yeah, you're doing this thing. And it's like, yeah, I know that I do this thing. And it's such a challenge to be growth focused and to be a person who wants to be open and to accept criticism, and then also be like a perfectionist with myself, and to be like, no, I would prefer to catch those issues. I would prefer to get there first, and especially because like typically I am not the type of person who's going to come out of my face and tell somebody they're doing something unless I'm high or drunk. And then I will come right out with it and I'll be like, hey, yo, you doing this thing. But for the most part, I am not usually just going to be like, okay, so here's what's happening. Usually I will wait and be like, should I say something? Should I not say something? And then sometimes I will like check with my spirit and be like, ooh, maybe I should say something because maybe this will benefit the person or help them. But yes, these are the types of challenges that I typically have. And I know some people are like, well, how, like, you're not going to see everything. Like, I'm not going to see everything. I definitely have my blind spots when it comes to mistakes that I make or challenges that I'm having or ways that I'm dealing with other people. And I can't, expect to be in a healthy relationship if I cannot take when somebody's like, hey, can I tell you something? Like, can I share something with you? Are you going to freak out or are you going to hear me out and hear what I have to say? And typically, I think it just depends on the headspace I'm in. Like, if it's been a really good day and I'm in a really good place, then typically I'm more receptive. And I think a lot of people are like this, where you're more receptive to critique or you're more accepting to people telling you that you're doing something that maybe is not that good. But then if you're already irritated or bothered about something, it becomes like a problem that it's like, okay, bro, like I already had to deal with X, Y, and Z this morning. I did not. The last thing I wanted was to then walk into a situation where somebody's telling me that I'm doing something wrong. And this is something that has, like, that portion has always been something that I've struggled with. Though I usually will tell people close to me, ayo, do not hold back. Like, hurt my feelings. Let me know if I'm doing something wrong, because there are so many people that I've witnessed in life who are in their 60s and 70s who do not have friends or who are very alone. And it's because they themselves have been very controlling, or they've been very bossy, or they've just not really cared to engage with other people or empathize with them. And so now they're 60, 70 years old alone, and the people around them are like, wow, like that kind of sucks that you're alone. And it's like, yeah, but can you really say anything? Because you could have told your boy 30 years ago that he didn't know how to take a joke. But, because vulnerability moment, I have a lot of family members on both sides who the people around them did not want to tell them when they were fucking up or when they were doing something wrong. Like, it's like just a family full of people who are people pleasers, but also people who are scared of conflict and don't want to deal with conflict and sweep things up under the rug. And it was one of the biggest things that my immediate family started to deal with, which is myself and a few of my other family members are just not in the business of coddling other family members anymore. Just because you work hard, just because you are, older than me, just because you can be caring at times and you do have a heart and you do care about people, does not mean that when you do things that other people should not be setting those boundaries with you. And that is something that has been very hard, because I do have family members like, long distance and then not long distance, but I have family members who they believe that because of their particular like position in a family, I'm the grandmother, or I'm the aunt, or I'm the person who paid everybody's bills, or they believe that their title keeps them from critique. And so then they just become worse and worse people as they age. And it's like, if you were open to critique and if you were open to people being able to be honest with you about stuff, then you wouldn't be in this situation where you're trying to figure out why people aren't calling you 9 minutes and 9 seconds as I say that. So maybe somebody is watching this, and maybe you are a person who is a bit older, and or maybe not a bit older. Maybe you're, whatever age, from, I guess, how old? 10 all the way up to like 99. Maybe somebody's watching this and has been wondering, how come I don't have like people? Like, where did all the people go? I used to have all these people around me. I do not 100% blame anybody, because I believe that there's so many different variables that go into why people do not have friends. And there are people I know who beat themselves up. So they they are not looking at realistic things. They see themselves through a filter of, well, I just have no worth and nobody wants to be my friend. And that is not true. That's not true. That everyone has worth is what I believe. That everybody has worth. Everybody has some kind of work. Everybody brings something to the table. I think the people who go down the route of, I'm just the worst, you know, or I've heard people say, when people are like, oh, you know, I try to critique my mom or I try to critique my dad and I try to let them know what's wrong. And then their parent goes, oh, so I'm just a terrible mother or I'm a terrible father. And I think that shit is actually kind of funny, because I'm like, so you took one critique that I had about something you did that I didn't like, that I honestly had a right to bring up, and you managed to turn the whole conversation around to be about how you're beating yourself up and now I'm supposed to coddle your emotions. I have a feeling there's some people watching this video right now who are dealing with that, and maybe some people watching this video right now are those people. I think it is incredibly important to start that shadow work and to start looking at self. Because that is a rough position to be in, my friend, to be the type of person to where your family members cannot critique you. They can't be honest with you with how they feel, because 11 minutes and 23 seconds as I'm saying this, I don't know if that number is significant for somebody, but your family members are unable to be honest with you because you are like they can't be honest with you because you can't handle it. And the reason you can't handle it is because you never learned coping mechanisms. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody messes up. Everybody says things that they don't mean in a moment of anger or being upset, or they'll tell a joke that doesn't quite hit, or, you know, accidentally insult somebody or hurt their feelings. We all go through that. Like, none of us go through this life unharming other people. Even if you don't mean to, you do it. And again, this is one of the reasons why, even when I'm in an irritated space and I'm like, I don't like that a person came up to me and hit me with this information, it is important to know. It is important to remember. Like, vulnerability moment, something that I have a bad habit of doing is when someone is talking to me, as they are talking to me, if I am not engaged in the conversation, meaning like the person is telling me about themselves, or they are talking and they've been talking for an extended period of time, usually what I will do is I will start fidgeting. I'll start trying to find something to keep me engaged. It's a lot easier to do if, as the other person is talking, there are breaks where I can also engage. So if the person is asking me questions, or they're like double checking with me, or like the conversation is a two-way street, like it's very two-way, then it's easy for me to be engaged. It's not easy for me if I'm sitting there and I'm listening the whole time. And this may be a surprise to people who know me 13 minutes and 13 seconds as I say that. It might be a surprise because I tend to be like kind of the self-proclaimed, I like to listen and I like to hold space for people. And I do. It doesn't mean it's easy. So, like, if I think about, oh, I need to pay a bill or I need to do something, I'll pick up my phone. And I know this doesn't irritate a lot of people, because most people, if I'm being honest, most people who engage with me or who talk to me are not actually talking to me to engage. They're talking to me because I am holding space for them. So they're able to vent and tell me about what's going on with them. And if I pick up my phone and I'm still like, yeah, no, I understand. So, and then I'm asking questions, usually most people are fine. I have a few people in my life who cannot stand it. They do not like when somebody has a phone in their hand or when somebody's looking at something, because they need to know that you are paying attention and that you are listening. And in my family in particular, it can be really difficult because I believe that you could stab me. I believe that there is neurospiciness going on with a lot of people in my family. Nothing has been confirmed, but it's always been a big deal in my family to look like you're listening. But the problem is for those of us who like got really good at looking like we were listening, odds are we weren't actually listening because we were so in our heads focusing on, okay, am I making enough eye contact? Was this the appropriate response to the question that they asked or to the statement that they made? Am I smiling enough? Am I smiling too much? My cheeks hurt. Like my foot itches. Like my brain really it's like a whole, it's its own little circus. It's its own little circus. And sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's incredibly easy. 15 minutes and 15 seconds as I'm saying this. Sometimes it's easy to lock it in. It's easy to be focused. And other times my mind is just all over the place. I'm thinking about things I'm processing. I'm thinking about things that I might be a little stressed about that I'm trying to ignore. I'm thinking about all kinds of stuff. And again, I'm really working on staying in the now and being in the present moment that I'm in. And sometimes the future thoughts catch me off guard. I'm not like I'm doing something. And so because I'm doing something and I'm not focused on maintaining being in the now, a future thought will slip in. It happens to me all the time. And usually my sister will be silent. She won't respond to me when I start spiraling and I start talking about future things because I tend to stress about future things if I'm thinking on them too much, depending upon the situation. It's not with everything. I've gotten really, really good at being like, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get there with a lot of stuff. But then when it comes to things I actually really, really care about, it's tough. It's tough for your girl. Like, this whole apartment situation is something that at first it was really easy for me to believe and sit in the knowing that a new situation is going to come, and it's going to come when we need it, and I do not have to stress about it. I don't have to think about it. However, I contacted a couple of different locations, and really by contacted I mean I messaged on like the little chat bot, and I was like, hey, I would like some information, here are my questions. And one place in particular that I'm pretty sure is the place, this is the place, called me back twice and was like, I'd like to give you a tour, I'd like to talk about how we can make this happen, like, let's go. And I have never gone to an apartment complex and not known how I was going to pay to live there. That's never happened. I've always known where the finances, where the income was coming from. Prior to this, I've had a job, or I've had roommates who've had jobs. This is a very different situation. And so after I got the call, my immediate thought was, I'll deal with that tomorrow. Like, I will call back tomorrow if I am moved to schedule a time to tour the apartments. I'll do that, but I'll deal with that tomorrow. My sister comes in, we start talking about something else, and then I bring it up. And when I brought it up, my mind immediately started going, I really have no idea how this is going to happen. And then I started going into like planning mode where I was like, okay, so tomorrow at what time should I call? And then I was like, yeah, no, like maybe I shouldn't focus on that. And she was like, yeah, you weren't like getting too bad, but you were starting to spiral. And it happened so quick. It happened so quick. It's like if my mind was an Olympic, like, I was going to say champion, an Olympic champion. My mind jumping to the future, like that pole vault, my mind would win the gold every time. I'd be in there. It's easy. It's easy. And it's actually interesting because I'm a planner. I have a degree in entertainment business. And what that is it's all the behind the scenes shit that has to do with entertainment. So that's negotiating and deal making. That's team management, project management. That's executive leadership. The knowledge of producing music, lyrics, books. It's all of the behind the scenes stuff that makes entertainment run. So my mind is set up to plan. It is set up to deal with things as they come along. And this type of mentality is difficult for a person who is on their spiritual path, who is trying to step out of constantly having to know what's happening in the future and constantly having to plan. 19 minutes and 19 seconds as I say that. So maybe somebody watching this, you struggle with this. You struggle with stepping out of that headspace where you actually really enjoy planning. Some of you may be event planners. somebody watching this may be an event planner, or you may be really good with like paperwork and like taxes or finances and stuff like that, and you're now on this journey where you're trying to really step out of having to know what is going to happen. You're just in this space where you're manifesting, and I feel you so heavy right now. I feel you, because how? It's like, see, and then I asked the question. I don't know if I've said this in a previous video, but the how is the jurisdiction of the universe. That is honestly what I believe, because there have been things that I've said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I just know I want to do it. I just know I'm going to do it. And then it works itself out. And that is that one energy that connects everything. That is it working at its best. When you simply have the energy, you have the motivation, you have the openness to do whatever you are nudged to do in order to do the thing, or to have the thing, or to travel to that place, or to meet this person. Like, you have all of that, but you also stay out of the how, because the how is where a lot of us trip ourselves up. It's where I trip myself up, vulnerability time. The how deals with all of the trying to figure out the avenues by which something is going to happen. So, for example, trying to figure out where my income is coming from, or where the income is coming from, or who's going to be there in order for this new apartment situation to come up. Again, for those of you that don't know, I have not been moved to job hunt. And I said this in maybe one of my first videos. I used to be the job hunt queen. It was not hard for me to find a job back in the day. I always had some type of job. I was either working in food service, retail, healthcare, human resources. My longest genre of work was human resources, because, you see with the planning, you see, like, that's what I did. And so when I started this spiritual journey, one of the things that I said was, I want to get paid and pampered, because I love being pampered. I love getting massages. I love getting my nails done. I love getting my feet done. I love getting my hair done. I love stuff like that. And I have not always been able to do those things. Like, those are things that I, would like to have the luxury of doing. And once I started my spiritual journey, and it was like, this is what we want to do, I immediately felt from spirit to not job hunt. And that was so hard for that first couple of weeks that I was doing it, because I was like, well, where's the money coming from? Like, logically. 22 minutes and 22 seconds. So I feel like there's somebody watching this to where you have something that you're wanting, or you're trying to do something, and you have no idea how this shit's gonna happen. And I get it. It's nerve-wracking as fuck, especially because we live in a society that makes planning and makes knowing what you're going to do, that is your North Star. So the amount of people in my life who've asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? When you walk up to people and you meet them at parties and functions, people are like, well, what do you do work-wise? Like, where's your income coming from? It's such an interesting question. Like, occupation-wise, what do you do for work? Like, I feel like it would be such a more fun type of interaction if people asked, what do you like to do in your spare time if you have it? Or what would you like, what are hobbies that you're interested in? What are special interests of yours? There it is. I would love that. 23 minutes and 23 seconds as this is. I would love that. If instead of asking, what do you do for work? If we asked, what are your special interests? What are things that you take interest in? Those conversations are always more fun to me. Because when you ask people, so what do you do for work? Odds are a lot of people don't actually like the jobs they're working at. So what do you do for work? Oh, well, I work in retail. I work, I'm a lawyer. And, you would think, oh, well, a lawyer, you have to go to law school, or a doctor, you have to go to nursing school in order to be a doctor. Like, don't you like that? A lot of people that I've met don't really care for the work they're doing. They're doing it because they knew it was going to make them money. And so that's why they're doing it. So when you ask them what they do, they tell you, but there's really no interest in it. They're like, I don't want to talk about work. I'm off of work. I'm here at a Christmas party. I don't want to talk about that. So, the thought stood up, just walked right out. I have no idea why I started talking about that. But yes. So I think I was talking about like planning and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, so when I started my spiritual journey, and this is more of like a brief recap for people watching this video who haven't been following me for a while, or who maybe this is the only video of mine that you're gonna see. So, yeah. So with this apartment situation, my brain is coming up with all of these avenues of what I could be doing, but I'm not moved to do a damn thing. I could. There's nothing really stopping me. I could right now fix up my resume. I could find a list of jobs that are local, and I could literally just start applying to them one by one. I was doing it, and I was getting interviews. But again, the interviews were weird, because before I would get interviews, like pre-COVID, I would get interviews and I would get a job. Every interview that I had, I would then have a job afterwards, or I would have an offer, and then I would be like, well, this other company offered me something else, so I'm going to take that because the benefits are better or whatever. But 2024, last year, I can't believe we're in 2025. That's crazy. In 2024, last year, I had 5 or 6 interviews where I was there and they were like, we loved talking to you. This was amazing. But there was a candidate who had just a little bit more than what you had. And so we're going to go with that candidate. That only started happening in 2024. And I was like, what's going on here? And Spirit was like, because you're not supposed to have that type of job. Like, you keep going where you're comfortable. And where you're comfortable is a job that claims to have job security, when the truth of the matter is if you're out here saying, well, I don't want to be a musician, or you're saying, I want to be a musician, but that's not secure. Did you see all the layoffs that happened in 2024? It was a lot of them. If you were on LinkedIn and you followed any large company, there were mass layoffs last year. So when it comes to job security, that's why I get when people are like, I want to have something stable. But I also think you want to have something that you enjoy. Because just doing something just because it's safe, while not bad, does that fulfill your soul? Do you really feel happy doing that? Because if you do, then keep doing that. I would never want somebody to like quit their job just because some rando bitch on YouTube was like, quit your job. No, like if you like your job or you've grown to like your job and you feel secure, then do that, Do what makes you happy. But if you have been trying to figure out for the longest time, should I go for a typical, job of whatever people in my life are telling me to do, or should I go for the thing that I'm really passionate about? I'm going to say, try to go for the thing that you're passionate about. Because why not? And I know some people be like, well, there are a lot of reasons not to. Yeah, there are a lot of reasons not to, and to do a lot of different things. So really, it is up to you. It's how do you feel about it? How do you feel? So, yeah. So as far as this apartment situation goes, I don't know. And it was fine at first when I didn't know, but the closer I'm getting to needing to not be in this living situation anymore, the more I'm kind of like, I'm really curious as to what's going to happen, because I just have no idea. And trust me, I'm gonna keep y'all updated because I'm curious. I'm curious as to what's happening. But yeah, so my brain tends to go into like super planning mode. This actually is really great when it comes to the idea of working for myself, which I have a very, very, I have a deep feeling that this type of thing that I'm doing, it's going to be like this, maybe in a different way. But I feel like it's going to be this. I feel like I'm not going to do the work that I've done before because that was safe. And now that I've dedicated to doing this and I've dedicated to following this path, I feel like this is where things are going to go. And I know it's going to work out. I know it's going to work out. Because too many things have happened. I've survived and been through too much at this point. And you have survived and you have been through too much at this point. You made it through so many things. You are watching this video right now. You made it through so many things So why not you? Why would this not work for you? Yeah, you can come up with 100 reasons why not, but try coming up with 100 reasons why it would be you. Why your song, out of all the songs people listen to on Spotify, would go viral and blow up. And now you're getting asked to, write music for a TV show or something. You just never know. We just don't know 100%. But, we don't know how that could manifest, is what I mean. But to know inside, to be dedicated, and to know that something good is going to come from this, I think it's important to hold on to that. Today, my friends, today has definitely been a rough day for me. As you can tell, it's been a rough day because I woke up not feeling like myself. And usually when I wake up and I have a tiny smile on my face. It's like this because I have morning breath and I don't want to breathe on myself, so I wake up like this. And I woke up this morning and I felt kind of empty. I felt kind of hollow again. And I was like, what is going on? And I know the moon is doing a waxing thing. So we're building up to a full moon. So I feel like I shouldn't be so tired. Like I shouldn't be so, But also, I know it's not good to beat yourself up about not feeling good, because then you just make yourself feel worse. So if you're a person who's feeling a bit tired and you're trying to figure out what's going on, it's okay to take the necessary time you need to rest, to lie down and to just watch something funny and figure something out. I watched a video today. It was the Clueless podcast again that I like watching. For those of you that don't know and you're new here, I watch a podcast by 4 YouTubers / video game streamers, and they just talk, and they're fucking funny, and they always make me laugh. Like every episode that I've seen, I have just been cackling, and it's so nice to find people who are just consistently funny. Because really, laughter really is the best medicine. I've been feeling super sick before. I've been down in the dumps before. I've really just been struggling. And if I can find somebody who consistently makes me laugh, man, that shit's amazing. So I encourage you, if you're not feeling great right now, or if you're feeling tired, or if you too are struggling in this moment, find something funny. Find something that inspires you. Find something that makes you feel good. And take that energy in, Look at doing that. Look at figuring out how to incorporate that into yourself. But yeah. And it's weird because this past week has been a very big week for personal realizations. And I said this at some point to somebody and they laughed. I was like, the shadow work is never done, and it really isn't. Like when you're a person who is, I may be processing a little bit as I'm doing this video. So we have officially reached the 30-minute mark. So I'm just letting you know that some of this may be me processing out loud, which is very vulnerable, but that's the name of the game here. I feel like I have a tendency to create more problems for myself. Like my internal gladiator is the archetype of me who has fought really hard throughout my entire life to keep me safe and to keep me feeling like, in 32 minutes and 23 seconds as I'm saying this, but the fighting that my inner gladiator has done in order to keep me in a place where I feel emotionally stable. I feel like now I've been trying to retire that archetype of myself. And it is tough because I've spent my whole life doing the logic thing, doing the practicality thing, doing the planning 5 years out, 10 years out. I did all of that, and those things didn't make me happy. And so I told my internal gladiator, we had a conversation. I was like, hey friend, you've got to chill out because I really just want to exist and feel good in every moment that I'm in. And she looked at me and was like, first of all, you stupid bitch, do you not see the world that's outside your door? And I was like, I do. And it's actually not that bad. I feel like we're overreacting to a lot. I can appreciate what you have done for me in the past. You kept me safe when I was younger. I appreciate that so much. And now it is time for you to retire. so that I can enjoy the things that I am manifesting. I can enjoy that line of abundance that I'm stepping into. Here's an idea. It's not really an idea, but it's more of a concept. It's more of a concept. And the concept is abundance in any area is not, it's not something that you like create. I think it was my dad that said this. He had kind of stumbled upon this idea that abundance is actually a stream. It is a consistent stream that is constantly flowing. And it's not about bringing that into your reality. It's about you stepping out of the reality that you've created for yourself, the reality of lack that you've constantly created in your mind, that there's not enough, there's scarcity, there's lack, there's fear. It's about stepping out of that and into the stream of abundance. And all you have to do is step there. Let go of all of the limiting beliefs, which is so much easier said than done. I get it. But that stream, it's about you stepping into it, not you creating it. So you don't have to work as hard because it's already a stream that is in constant flow. It's just a matter of you stepping into that. It's just a matter of you getting out of your own way. I believe that human beings are actually naturally abundant. They're naturally connected. Infants are very, very connected. They're very connected. But the minute children get to a point where we start telling them what isn't possible, we start telling them how they should think and how they should be versus helping them grow and be more of what they already are, we then kill and we kind of place ceilings on them. And what we do is we kind of snatch children outside of that stream of abundance. We take them out of that. And they're already 36 minutes and 36 seconds as I'm saying that. They're already there. They're already in that abundant place. It's when you're an adult, you're spending most of your time unlearning the unhealthy thinking habits in order to get back to that place where kids are at. That's why it's so important to reconnect with your inner child, with our inner children. Because our inner children know better than we do how to feel fulfilled, how to lock into abundance, how to step into our power, how to feel loved and step into love and accept love into our lives. They already know how to do all of that. And so for me, as a person who, again, I spend a lot of time in my own mind, I have a tendency when there aren't things happening and things are pretty stable, meaning that I'm not having to work hard, I'm just kind of existing, I'm in that waiting place that I talked about in my last video, I tend to create more problems for myself. I'm like, well, there's got to be something I need to work on, and then I create more shit that I need to work on. And it's been like the past 3 days that I've been kind of battling with this. And usually what I end up doing every day is I end up being like, I'm just not going to think about it. And then I play Scrabble. I actually won two of the Scrabble games that I've been playing. I've been playing those Scrabble games for like the last 2 weeks. And I won them both. It's all about patience when it comes to Scrabble. You don't want to rush. You look at all your letters at the bottom and you go, I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. And the cool thing about playing Scrabble on mobile, that you can test out the letters and it'll tell you how many points that you'll get if you do it. But you can like test it out before you submit your answer. And I love that. I love Scrabble. I love crossword puzzles, Scrabble. Ooh, I need to download a crossword puzzle. I had downloaded a lot of mobile games so that I could get used to playing games more during the day. And I just deleted like 4 of them because I was like, you know what? I never play these. I only ever play Scrabble. I play Bejeweled. And then I play, I think it's like a mix and match grocery store game where it'll have all the different shelves, and on the shelves you'll have like chips and like pineapples and chicken and all kinds of other stuff, and you have to match them in chunks of 3 and then they'll go away. I love games like that. I love this game. So that's what I've been playing. But typically when my brain starts to feel fried and I start to feel like I'm overthinking, I go and I pull up a mobile game and I'm like, I just need to do something to stop thinking. I have a feeling I'm getting a lot of people watching this video who you guys are overthinkers as well. Isn't it great? Isn't it amazing to have a brain that's just so wired and geared to overthink? It's not fun. I was like, please don't let that be a bug. Please don't. I've thought about it. I was like, if a bug comes out, what am I doing? Well, I'm not doing much. I'm just gonna have to respond. I mean, I have shoes in here. My feet are literally resting on top of like 6 or 7 pairs of shoes right now. So if anything does happen, I'm prepared. But yeah, I find it a struggle. I really do sometimes. And then other days it's fine. Like I'll wake up and I'm in a really good place and it's easy for me to just let go and let God, as they say. It's easy for me to just allow that all-encompassing energy that exists. It's easy for me to allow it to just kind of take over. And in those spaces, I feel really, really good. Just letting go and just being there. And I think when I'm doing that consistently, my brain goes, something's wrong. Another shoe has to drop. I was actually talking to my sister about my favorite movie. My current favorite movie of all time is The Matrix. And it is because Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne are my favorites in that movie. Also, there's a lot of symbolism in the movie that's just really great. There's a lot of clever stuff in the movie that's really great. I love The Matrix. People are like, well, I've had people be like, well, have you watched the other Matrix movies? What other Matrix movies? The first one really is it for me. Like, I love the first one so much. And there was a scene that I was talking about to my sister. And it's the scene where, spoilers for The Matrix. It's the scene where Agent Smith is talking to Lawrence Fishburne. And he's got him, like, captured in the building in the high rise. And he's like, did you know that human beings, like your kind, because he's a computer program, and he's like, your kind, like, they're just awful. He's like, did you know that we created a computer program many, many, many years ago where it was a paradise? And it allowed human beings to be whatever they wanted to be. There was no suffering. There was no anger. There was no issue. There was, like, everything was great. And he said the human beings could not, I'm paraphrasing, like, this is not exactly what he said. Go watch The Matrix. You can actually see it on YouTube. I think it's free with ads. If it is free with ads, go watch it. And then come back and comment what your favorite part of the movie is. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. But I love talking about The Matrix with other people. So if anybody has seen it and you have things to say, I'll definitely probably talk about it in another video and be like, yes, I agree. This part was dope. Or I agree. I didn't like how this was done. But he says, oh, there's my hair peeking out from under the wig. The agent says, people could not fathom. They would not take the program. They wouldn't use it. They kept feeling like something was wrong. And he said entire crops of human beings were lost because, you know, the machines, they essentially use human beings as batteries, you know, to power the machines and stuff like that. And he was essentially saying people were leaving. People were dipping. They were voluntarily leaving because they could not fathom a reality where things were perfect. And I feel like that's how my inner gladiator responds to times where it's kind of the peace times. Like, my inner gladiator is like, I don't know how to deal with that. Like, that's civilian shit right there. I don't know how to deal with that. So let me create a problem so that I can work through it and process through it. And it's like, there's not always a problem. There is not always 43 minutes and 43 seconds as I say that. 43 is somebody's lucky number. There is not always a problem. Sometimes you've done all the work you've needed to do. You worked hard. You have sweat. What is the past tense of sweat? Sweat? And I'm over here talking about the fact I play Scrabble. Blood, sweat, and tears. You have really gone through it. And your reward is that you get to rest for a while after you've done that. You get time to rest, but we, for some reason, fight against it, excuse me, viciously. And I can't speak for everybody else, but I know for me, I sometimes feel crazy because it's like, but you asked for this relaxation. You asked for this. So why not just let it? 44 minutes and 44 seconds as I'm saying this. Why not just let it happen? Because I want it to. I want to rest. I want to rejuvenate. And I feel good when I do. So I think it's a matter of coming up with a way when I feel that way, coming up with some type of reminder. I actually have a tattoo that I got. This one, which is, oh, that's hard to see. Yeah, this tattoo is the moon and clouds and stars. And I like how he did it, how he made the negative space my skin tone in the back. And I essentially got that tattoo to remind me that I am the universe and the universe is me, that I have all of this power. But then in these mental moments, I don't look down at this tattoo and think that. Like, I don't think it's, so I was like, if I have a tattoo, it'll be a reminder. It has not worked. It's literally tattooed on my skin, and it hasn't worked. So coming up with other things. I said in another video, mantras are really good. And when I was saying mantras right before bed and first thing when I woke up and not checking my phone, things were better. So I might do that. I might do that tonight, instead of just listening to music as I usually will do, instead of just playing games on my phone. Maybe tonight I will go back to some of my old school mantras that I have and say those kind of as I'm fading off to sleep, and then in the morning, instead of hopping on my phone, maybe I'll do those mantras again, and just to see kind of what happens. Because look here, this feeling is not, the feeling of struggling and like kind of being buffeted by your own self is not great. It's like, I know I'm powerful. Like, I understand spiritually that I'm powerful. I feel like somebody watching this has gone through this, where it's like, you have done so much spiritual work already. You know that you're powerful. You've stepped into your power. You know that you are on the right path. You feel as though you are in alignment. You feel as though you are always guided by divine guidance. You know that your intuition is correct. You know that you're there and you're locked in, but some days it's just hard to stay locked into that. And maybe somebody watching this isn't. Maybe you're over there like doing like an All Might laugh for My Hero Academia. You're like, no, tiny peasant, that's just you. And if that's the case, share your secrets. How do you just be locked in all the time? I'd like to know. Drop the spirit care routine, king, queen, or my liege. But yeah, man, this shit's rough. That shit's rough. Ooh. For dinner tonight, as a side note, I cooked a salmon, and I did like an Italian, not like a glaze, but it was like a dry rub. I did salmon, and I seasoned it. And then I made broccoli, and I made white rice. And that was what I made for dinner for the family tonight. And I felt really good because everybody's like, oh my gosh, the salmon's amazing. And I'm always like, yes, when I know that I've properly cooked salmon. Salmon can be so hard to cook. If you're a person who likes to cook, try this. Try getting salmon fillets from the store. Or if you're a person who is learning how to cook and you're like, I don't really know how to get started, let me help you, friend. I would also love to do a cooking stream at some point. I think that would be really fun. So what you do is you go to the store and get some salmon fillets that are not seasoned. And then you can season them at home. And when you season them at home, what I like to do for myself is I will take them, I will thaw the salmon fillets, and then I put them in a glass dish. And I put each salmon fillet in the glass dish. I season it with like wet seasonings first. So today I used mustard, and then I will put the dry seasonings on. And I had a blackened salmon seasoning. I did garlic powder, onion powder. We didn't have any minced garlic because I love using minced garlic. Like, minced garlic is just, it just puts a kick in a lot of the stuff that I make. I did black pepper, and then I did Italian seasoning. I like to try to keep certain things simple because I feel like for me, I tend to over season my stuff historically. And I'm trying not to do that because then you don't taste what the thing is. It's just like, wow, this is just a lot of salt. And so I did that, and then I set it in the fridge. And for fish, you don't actually have to marinate it that long, especially for salmon. So I marinated it for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I cooked that in the air fryer at 400, on 400 for 10 minutes. And the fillets were only like this thick. If they're thicker, it's got to be in there longer. But they were only each like this. And I did that, and I did it for 10 minutes so that it's still, it wasn't well done, and it was good. My mom actually was like, hey, don't, cook it 2 minutes less than you usually do, because it's, usually well done and it's good. It's just that I prefer it not to be that way. And then when I tried it, I was like, ooh, I'll be doing this from now on. So that's how I like to make my salmon at home. If you're a person who's trying to learn how to cook, it actually is pretty easy. Find things that you want to cook for you. I go on Pinterest, and I will find recipes of things that I'm like, I'd like to try that. So there was I may butcher this, and I apologize if I do, but it was Filipino machado or macado. And essentially it is a steak stew, and I love steak stew. One of my dreams is to live in a cabin, or to live in a rustic type home, in the mountains somewhere, or outside of a forest or something, and make my food with more old school stuff. My dream for a long time was to have no electricity in the house if I could stand it. But, looking at, kind of air pollution and things like that, I was like, okay, fine, I'll have some electricity, but I'll need to make everything look super rustic. I just want to make it look like I live in a Skyrim home. For those of you that play the video game Skyrim, I love the Breeze home. I actually follow somebody online, and she will look at Skyrim mods for the different homes, and she'll tour them, and her voice is amazing. It's like ASMR. I'm gonna try to remember to put that in the description. She's incredible. I love her. She's so great. But I love stew because you can make a big batch of stew, and then you make some kind of starch that the stew can sit on. Some people will put stew on top of potatoes, even if there are potatoes in the stew. Some people will put it on a bed of rice. I like doing a bed of rice. And then you have that, or you have bread, or you do a bread bowl. Oh my gosh, that's also very good. I apologize if you're hungry while watching this. But I love stew. And I used chuck steak for that one, and it was so good. So good. So yeah, I go on Pinterest and I find recipes, and then when I have it to do, I will go to the grocery store and I will buy all the ingredients, and then I just cook it that way. And then the more you cook things that way, you find recipes and you cook, then you can replace things, or you can add things, and you can kind of do your own little thing with it. And so that's how I like to cook. My favorite meal to cook, no joke, my favorite breakfast meal to cook tends to be sunny side up eggs with home fries. I love cooking home fries. I take potatoes, I chop them up, I season them up with oil and then some seasonings, and then I throw them in the air fryer for 25 minutes at 400, and they're so good. They're so good. I, again, love potatoes. I think the potato is such a good staple because it goes with so many things. You can have baked potato, you can have home fries, you can do potato chips, you can do potato strings, you can do it that way. You can do hash browns. Oh my gosh, potatoes. French fries, they're so versatile. Bro, if anybody's like, hey, you want to come get some food? I'm like, what you making? Potatoes? I'm there. Actually, knocking on the door. Literally. I'm out front, let me in. I brought wine. I do really like wine. I'm partial to red. Red wine is actually pretty good. I'm not really good as far as knowing all of the different types of wine, but I like sweet red wine. I like port wine, very sweet, and I also like spiced wine. I like spiced wine specifically for Samhain, which is a Celtic holiday. It's very much so celebrating your loved ones who've passed on, and talking about it happens around the same time that Halloween is. And it's just such a peaceful and a great time, and I love it. Big fan. But yeah, so that's my little cooking aside for those of you who are interested in making things. And again, I would love to do like a stream where I cook some stuff. Like, there's a lot of ideas I have for doing streams, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna do them. I say them when I think about them, and maybe they'll come back up. Future Yasha, are we doing this? Is this something we do, or have we chosen to do something else? But yeah, man, if you are having a particularly rough day or a rough evening and you're like, bro, I really thought I was on this spiritual stuff. I thought I was locked in. I feel like this happens. I feel like you hit a hump sometimes where it's like, oh, I thought I was locked in. I thought I was locking it in. And it's like, you were. It's just, you know, we're human. So we came back here, or I believe we came from a spiritual collective to experience a physical individual existence. You know, I am a me. I have a body that is mine. I'm not sharing it with a bunch of other people. You know, I mean, at some point I'm going to be sharing it with somebody, but oh, come on. We know what this is. We know what this is. We know what this is. If you've been here for a while, then you know. You know. I definitely, if I'm like high or if I am buzzed, there's a lot more of that. There's a lot more conversation there about that. But when I'm, you know, relatively sober, I'm pretty good at being like, ooh, well, there's a little joke there. We kind of hinted that, but we're not going to go there. But yeah, man. Like, it's just crazy. I definitely complicate my life more than I need to sometimes. But the cool thing is that tomorrow is a new day. So when I wake up, I can try again. So I love that. I love that I can try again. It's so interesting. Life is just really interesting. Life is really interesting right now. And it's crazy because I started all of my spiritual stuff in October. So that was October, November, December, January. So it's only been 4 months. It's only been 4 months. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, that's like a quarter of a year right there. That's a little over a quarter of a year. But when you think about how long you've been doing toxic stuff before that, I have at least 17 years. I have 17 years of toxic behavior that I am now 4 months into changing. You know? So that's where I'm at. I keep feeling like my phone is moving. Again, it could just be my eyes, but I keep feeling like my phone is doing weird stuff. Yes. There have been a couple of people who've commented on my videos and you guys have been like, you deserve more likes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. I appreciate the people who watch these videos and you guys engage in the comments. Again, like I say in every video, you never have to. I'm not reading the comments and thinking if I don't see a comment on the video, 57 minutes and 57 seconds as I say this, I'm never thinking if I'm reading the comments that there aren't enough. I enjoy that these videos are helpful to people. I enjoy that you all feel good or you feel heard or you feel seen when you watch these videos. I enjoy that. I love that. And I actually have been moved to watch some of my videos back. And again, it's crazy how much stuff I say. And I'm like, wow, I said that? Okay, I need to write that down because that's something I need to remember. So I actually end up talking to myself through these videos as well. So these are really great for me. I love it. I told in my last video, I was like, oh yeah, I'm on Instagram. And I had to go through my Instagram today and I deleted some stuff because I was like, ugh, like I don't want these photos in there anymore because I was not happy during this period of time. And in this photo in particular, I know I was suffering. And so I don't keep crazy. Bro, listen here, bro. I actually had a situation where I was just kind of like I was on the spiritual journey, I was doing my thing, and then I was moved to delete all of my Google photos, and I do mean all of them, from 2012 to now. I cried. I get very attached to things, especially when they are given to me or they have like sentimental value. I'm very attached. It's funny though, because anytime Google's like, you're running out of storage, my attachment kind of goes away a little bit, because I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm about to pay for Google storage. I'll be damned. Like, no thank you. I'm Gucci. So usually I go in and I'm like, I'd rather delete precious memories. But, that was a couple months ago. I was moved to delete a bunch of photos because it was like, the past does not concern you. 59 minutes and 59 seconds as I say that. So for somebody who's watching, the past does not concern you. You don't need to keep going back and reading those text messages from your ex. Ooh, you don't need to go back and read those. You don't need to be looking at pictures of you and that old friend group that you were with who did not treat you right. You don't need those. Delete them. Delete them. You have to, and you don't have to, but for those of you who are feeling and this resonates, you need to break up with your past. Be grateful for the things that happened. Honor it and be like, man, I'm so grateful that those things happened to bring me where I am today, but it is time for you to stop reliving that. It's time for you to stop reliving your past. I used to be a very big proponent of, I'm going to keep all of these photos with me and my exes, or I'm going to keep all these photos with me and the people that I don't really fuck with anymore, like, because it's for the memories. But I realized for me, I was actually only holding on to them because when I was down, I would go back and I would look through and I would be like, man, like, I used to be so happy. Like, if I just did the same shit that I did before, maybe I could be happy again. And it would kind of bring me back to this really negative place. So when I deleted all those photos and I just felt in my spirit, you're clearing out your photo gallery because there's new stuff that you're about to have that you're going to want in there, and you're not going to have any space for it if you keep all of those ain't shit memories there. So I did a mass cleansing and got all of that out. I was very happy. I was very happy indeed. Now I'm happy. Was not at the time. At the time I cried. I was like, I can't believe that my gut is making me do this. Like, this just doesn't feel good. But I think it was necessary. I think it's necessary to put things to rest and to move on. To let those things lay there. I actually went back to vulnerability time. I actually went back to the location where I met my ex, and I left a lot of the things that reminded me of that point in my life. I left them there. I gave them away, or I gave them to Goodwill, or I gave them to people who needed them, but I didn't bring any of it back with me, and I cried. It was a very cathartic experience because I was like, I can't believe that I was still holding on to this stuff. Like, I know I'm not going back to that relationship, but I was holding on to it because I'm one of those people who when I play video games, I hoard potions. It's like, you have all of these potions, and I'm like, and I'm gonna keep having them. They're gonna be there until the end of the game. Because I'm like, no, what if I need it for something else? And it's like, but you're fighting the final boss. And I'm like, yes, but what if after the final boss fight, there's another final boss fight, and I have used all my potions on this one? So I tend to hoard, like, things that have sentimental value, and I think some things I like to keep, but I also have gotten to a point where I like to detach myself from certain, like, sentimental, like, objects or items, because I believe that things come to us when we need them, and then if we lose them, it means that we don't need them in our space anymore at that time. So, like, I used to have a couple of tarot card decks that I had, and I was moved to give them to other people. And I gave them to other people, and then those tarot card decks ended up being like the deck that triggered their want to explore their spirituality, or to get more oracle decks or more tarot decks, or they wanted to, it kind of moved them to rekindle a relationship with somebody who was really important to them. Like, it was really weird how when I would give stuff away, it would end up being like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it was the thing that made a person, it motivated them to do something else. And I was like, cool. So whenever I have things like clothes or crystals, I give crystals away sometimes. Like, I'll be out and I'll be walking with like a bracelet or something, and I'm like, how are you feeling? Like, I'll talk to somebody and we get caught up in conversation, and I'm like, hey, so I know this is weird and I don't know you and I just met you, but I have this bracelet, and to me this bracelet represents X, Y, and Z, and I just feel like I need to give it to you. Like, would you like to accept this? You don't have to, obviously, because I'm a stranger. And 9 times out of 10 people say yes. They're like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing, thank you. And if nothing else, it's a great story to tell. Be like, some random girl came up to me in the store and was like, here's some free jewelry. So, you know, there's that. So yeah, I've been, I was telling somebody, I was like, there are times where I kind of dream of just walking away from all of the things I own. And just walking and just going and starting a life somewhere else. I would actually love if you could put in the comments if you have thought about this, if you're still watching the video to this point, if you've thought, you know what, I just like to leave it all behind and go. Where have you thought about going? I'd like to know that. Where have you thought about picking up and restarting your life? What country or state would you want to go to? I know some of us are like, man, I just wish I could go to a different planet entirely, bro. I used to imagine that, like, I would walk into my closet, or I would open my closet and it would be a Narnia situation, except it would go into one of, like, the universes I wanted to live in. Like, one of the fantasy universes. I used to think about that shit all the time. Yeah. I actually used to write, like, fiction stories. I still write. I dabble a little bit, but I'm the type of person who, I'm a scene builder, so I'll write scenes. And I'll have an idea for a really cool scene or a really great dialogue, and I'll write that, and then I have no idea how to connect all of those little scenes into a bigger story that has a beginning, middle, and an end. So I do struggle with that upon occasion. I'm like, oh no. Well, there's a book idea. I've got like 10. I've got like 10 or 11. Ooh, excuse me. Ooh, I've got like 10 or 11 novel ideas that I've kind of been dabbling in over the years, and they're not anywhere close to being first draft ready, you know, to do a second draft, but that is neither here nor there. That dinner was really good. That salmon was perfectly textured. I love that. I was telling my sister, I love cooking now. It was funny because for a while there, I wasn't cooking. I was just doing like the bare minimum in the apartment of what I needed to do because I was in classes and stuff. And then at some point, I had the thought of, you know, you're asking to move into a situation, you know, you're asking to move into a new living situation. And how are you going to eat in that new living situation? And I was like, well, actually, yeah, no, I would like to cook. I would like to cook more and cook better. Because I think that's really what cooking is about. I feel like when you cook and you're testing things out, you learn why you do certain stuff. You learn why you mix this instead of this. And then you just get better cooking over time, what is the hope. So I really like cooking, in particular things that I get to kind of test out. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry for yawning right in your face. But yeah, so that dinner was actually pretty good. I'm very happy with how that went. I'm very, very happy. 'Twas delicious. It's weird. Sometimes I get like a random want to shake my bracelets in your face. But yeah, I really appreciate the people who are watching these videos. And for those of you who've gone over and followed me on Instagram, hi, how you doing? Weren't you shocked when you were like, oh no, that's not her hair. It's not my hair. yes, the majority of the pictures that I have on there are of me at the gym because I don't go a lot of places as of right now, so I don't have a lot of pictures of me out doing things. And, you know, if I take selfies these days, a lot of the selfies I take are gym. They're at the gym. And I'm like, yes, behold my progress. I get very excited. And then I like putting music on the pictures. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I really appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are pretty great. Y'all are pretty great. I have not had any negative, and I mean, at the time that I'm recording this, I think I have maybe like 823 followers. So I started doing these videos at 772. So that's a lot of people. I'm not doing the quick maths right now. But I haven't had any like negative comments, and that is a bit surprising because of the amount of views that are on some of the videos. And I think it's because I just assumed at the beginning, I was like, it's gonna be people talking shit the whole time. Like, my inner gladiator was prepared to get at people. And I think seeing all of the loving and supportive messages, and I know that there are a couple people, they do repeat messages, so it's like, you have 10 comments, but like 5 of those are one person. I appreciate that too. I love it. I love anybody who puts timestamps in there and they're like, yep, that's for me, because then I go back and I watch those timestamps and I'm like, ooh, good information, and then I write it down for myself later. It's weird because like I'll talk for so long about certain things and then I'll forget what I talked about. 1 hour and 11 minutes, so that is 111, which is a number that represents new beginnings. Ooh, all the ones. That was 111111. So super new beginnings for whoever is currently watching, and for me, I guess. New things are cresting into happening. But even though these last 3 days, as I kind of wrap up for the evening, even though the last 3 days have been hard, I am reminded again of when the Scarecrow in the old school Wizard of Oz said, you know, it always gets darker before it gets lighter. And I feel like in some cases that is true, where it's like sometimes you don't know where you're going to go, you don't know how things are going to happen, and you just hang in there and you just trust. Faith as small as a mustard seed. And you trust that it's going to work out, and then it does, and you turn around and it's worked out, you know. So, I know it's going to work out. I know it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to allowing my inner child to drive, just really lock back into that, because I think I haven't really spoken to her like dead on in a minute. What I do is typically when I speak to my inner child, for those of you who are looking for ways to do that, I will journal. And what I'll do is I'll write my name and then I write her name because she has a name that she likes to be called. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4 on my timer. And what I'll do is I'll go back and forth. So I'll write something and then I'll just write the next response that comes to mind. And usually that's how she speaks to me. And I haven't spoken to her in a minute, so I should probably do that. I don't like neglecting my inner child. It happens sometimes when I get busy mentally. And if that happens with you, it's okay. It's okay to need to come back and to reconnect. So I think that's kind of the overall theme for this video, is reconnecting and being patient with yourself and being compassionate with yourself as you're reconnecting. Ringing in my ears. So that is correct. Whenever I get ringing in both ears, it's a hell yes from spirit to say this is true. Right now, for whoever's watching this, if you're still watching at this point, the overall message that I would like to give to you is that right now is about reconnecting with your divine spirit. That's really what it's about. So however you do that, whether that be meditation, whether that be journaling, whether that be going for a walk, whether that be sitting in the silence, or maybe listening to an instrumental track, imagining speaking to yourself. One practice that I really like is imagining yourself walking up to like your dream home, or imagine yourself walking up to a home where your inner child likes to hang out. and then you go in and you sit next to them or you sit on the floor with them as they're playing and you talk to them. And you'd be surprised. You would be surprised what your inner child will say to you. So I think that is all I have for you all. Again, I just can't stress enough how much I appreciate the support on here. I'm surprised at the people who've commented that not only do you like the videos and you enjoy what I put out, but there have been so many of you that have commented on how sweet my spirit is, which has made me emotional. Again, growing up, I had quite a few people tell me that I was a heartless person because I didn't do things that they wanted me to do. And there were a lot of things I did as a kid because I was overstimulated. I was like, just no, please. And so it was like, I heard a lot growing up. You're heartless, you're detached, you don't care about people. When it wasn't true, I cared so much. I've always cared so much. And just now as an adult, I feel vulnerable enough to say that I care a lot. It's just as a kid who was overstimulated all the damn time, I constantly was having to be like, nope. So it does make me feel good when people tell me, and when I hear people talk about the fact that I have but people say that they feel like I have a kind spirit and that I deserve more engagement on my videos. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. And I know it's like you're not really supposed to care what other people think. And I'm getting there. That's its own road. That's its own road of discovery, of getting to a point where compliments and negative comments do not super affect me. But right now, all I have to say is I really appreciate you guys so much. I love the emojis in the comments. I love the likes. I love the subscriptions. I really appreciate it because when I started these, I did not think it was going to be this far. Like, I'm almost at 830 subscribers, and that's crazy. 830? That's a lot of people. 830? I wouldn't be able to fit 830 people in this apartment. That's a lot of people. If I did a concert for 830 people, oh my gosh, that's a lot of people. So, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. I take that and I accept it. And I feel so lucky. I feel so blessed to be doing these videos in a period of time where there are caring people who are online, and there are people who do, like, each of you is a little light and you have no idea how you're affecting other people because you're affecting me super positively. Like, I'm getting the boost, and I'm getting the inspiration to do things and to be better as I see these comments. So it's not just that I'm doing these videos and as I put them out and as I process, I'm feeling better. It's also seeing that they are helpful that makes me feel like, that this is worth it. And I'm gonna start crying. So, you guys are awesome. I hope you have an amazing morning, evening, afternoon, night, wherever you're at. Again, I'm super grateful for any engagement that you guys do, but you don't have to. This is a safe space. If you have any projects that you're working on or things that you're proud of or relationships that you've just started, put those in the comments. If you guys get into relationships and you're super excited about it, please put it in the comments because I love to see it. I love to see it. I love to see people gushing about their people. I love that shit so much. It fills me with such joy. I feel so good when people are like, so there's this girl. I'm like, yes, tell me more, BB. Tell me more about her. What is she doing? Or somebody's like, oh my God, there's this person. And I'm like, tell me about your person. Tell me about your boo thing. I eat this shit up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I love it. I love you guys. You guys are great. Okay. That is all I have for tonight. I'm going to call it. I'm going to do my mantras before I go to sleep, and I'm going to do some positive visualization, maybe listening to some good instrumental music. I feel like it's a cigarettes after sex night. Not actual cigarettes after sex, because I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't judge, but I don't smoke cigarettes. But it is a group. I think the group's name is Cigarettes After Sex. And the song that I typically listen to is, I think it's Holding You, Holding Me, or Holding Me, Holding You. I love that song. It's so pretty. So you should go listen to it. And tell me what you think in the comments. But anyways, I love you guys. Mwah. Keep being amazing. Keep doing you.